Beat. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Is everyone ready? We're going to enter into the most sacred of all places, and that's the hearing of Srimad Bhagavatam. This is the activity that brings us to the perfection of life, pure love for God. Simply hearing Srimad Bhagavatam in the association of others. You don't have to do much, just use the free ears that you got along with this body. They were thrown in as a free gift along with this body. All you have to do is be very receptive to the Srimad Bhagavatam. And we'll start with a song about the spiritual world. Would you like to sing about the spiritual world today? Yes. Okay, only half of you. The rest of you, please cover your ears so you can either that or tune into TikTok instead, so you can hear about the material world and what all the pets are doing around the world. This song is by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. It's all about the relationships that the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna has with his devotees in the spiritual world. And just as when you're walking down the street somewhere and someone calls you by your nickname, you'll spin around and say, "Who is that who knows me?" So intimately, because nobody knows the nickname unless they're an intimate associate. So by these names of Krishna, Yashoda Nandan, and Girivardhari, we identify Krishna in the spiritual world where he's with his devotees with his guard down. He's not God. He's just the best friend, lover, son of everyone in Vrindavan. Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari. Everyone. Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Girivardhari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Girivardhari. Jashoda Nandana Vraja Jana Ranjana Jashoda Nandana Vraja Jana Ranjana Jashoda Nandana Vraja Jana Ranjana. Jashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Gop Premanande Hari Haribo. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Sarasatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udiraye. We're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 4, The Process of Creation. Today's verse is text 24. 25? Really? I'll put it on 24. Lucky it's digital, right? It's 24. It was a clerical error on my part, sending the wrong verse. But I think it's easily adjusted since it's digital. No harm, no foul, no ambulance. Ready? Namastasmai Bhagavate Vasudevaya Vedhase Papur Jnanam Ayam Saumya Yanmukham Buruhasavam. Somebody else? Namastasmai Bhagavate Vasudevaya Vedhase Papur Jnanam Ayam Saumya Yanmukham Buru. Vaishnavis? Namastasmai Bhagavate Vasudevaya Vedhase Papur Jnanam Mayam Saumya Yanmukham Buruhasavam Namaha. My obeisances. We need quick help. Krishna, please give us quick help. We don't need it, I think someone pressed it. The Bhagavatam offers quick help. Ashup apanoti means that very quickly one comes to the position of perfection by hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam. Hribo. Tasmai, unto him. Bhagavate, unto the personality of Godhead. Vasudevaya, unto Vasudeva or his incarnations. Vedhase, the compiler of the Vedic literatures. Papu, drunk. Jnanam, knowledge. Ayam, this Vedic knowledge. Saumya, the devotees. Especially the consorts of Lord Krishna. Yat, from whose? Mukha amburuha, the lotus-like mouth. Asavam, nectar from his mouth. I offer my respectful obeisances unto Srila Vyasadeva, the incarnation of Vasudeva, who compiled the Vedic scriptures. The pure devotees drink up the nectarian transcendental knowledge dropping from the lotus-like mouth of the Lord. Purport: in pursuance of the specific utterance Vedase, or the compiler of the system of transcendental knowledge, Srila Sridhar Swami has commented that the respectful obeisances are offered to Srila Vyasadeva, who is the incarnation of Vasudeva. Srila Jiva Goswami has agreed to this, but Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has made a further advance, namely, that the nectar from the mouth of Lord Krishna is transferred to his different consorts, and thus they learn the finer arts of music, dance, dressing, decorations, and all such things which are relished by the Lord. Such music, dance, and decorations enjoyed by the Lord are certainly not anything mundane, because the Lord is addressed in the very beginning as para, or transcendental. This transcendental knowledge is unknown to the forgotten conditioned souls. Srila Vyasadeva, who is the incarnation of the Lord, thus compiled the Vedic literatures to revive the lost memory of the conditioned souls about their eternal relation with the Lord. One should therefore try to understand the Vedic scriptures, or the nectar transferred by the Lord to his consorts in the conjugal humor, from the lotus-like mouth of Vyasadeva or Shukadeva. By gradual development of transcendental knowledge, one can rise to the stage of the transcendental arts of music and dance displayed by the Lord in his Rasa Lila. But without having the Vedic knowledge, one can hardly understand the transcendental nature of the Lord's rasa dance and music. The pure devotees of the Lord, however, can equally relish the nectar in the form of the profound philosophical discourses and in the form of kissing by the Lord in the rasa dance, as there is no mundane distinctions between the two. Is this marked? Is this marked? 10 what? 10:33 what?
Chapter
33, then it's going to have a verse number. 33:8, 10:33:8. So I just want to enter this into evidence while we're hearing this other verse about the arts of the spiritual world. All this is related to the verse we read on the first day, Vikriditam Brajavadu Ahamcha Vishnu, Shradhanvito Nashunhuyad. Anushrunuyad means if we follow the process of hearing from Srila Vyasadeva given in the Srimad Bhagavatam with faith, which means it's in the proper context. We're not accepting it according to our own whims, but according to the way it's presented by the great acharyas. And from that, vikriditam means the kriditam is V, it's vishesha or special. It's not of this ordinary category of activities. But vikriditam rajavadu, the wives of Krishna, as it's vadu means a wife, but actually there's other meanings too. The devotees who are in a relationship with him in a conjugal rasa, that it's, of course, conjugal also means husband-wife, but the parikya rasa means it's like unwedded love that's there in the spiritual world. Vikriditam Vrajavadurhamcha Vishnu, that this is Vishnu, it's not any ordinary person. It's a Vishnu Tattva, is performing this activity. Shradhanvito Nashrinuyad, by hearing. Shradhanvito Nashrinuyad Atavarna Yedya. Bhaktim Param Bhagavati Pratilabhyakamam. That one can develop this, the ultimate goal, the topmost goal, which is Bhaktim Param, the full-blown bhakti or love for Krishna. Bhagavati Pratilabhyakamam Hridrogam. From the hrid, from the heart. The dreaded disease of the heart is lust, which connects us to this material world perpetually. And by becoming enraptured by the activities of Krishna in the spiritual world, which are special category and which are full of variety, then one's mind and heart can be reestablished and its real position, which is to be a servant of Krishna in that context. And Bhaktim Param Bhagavati Pratilabhyakam Hridrogam Ashva. There it is again, very quickly. Ashva Bhayinota Charina Dhira. One becomes dhira, undisturbed by what's happening in the material world, because one has higher ground. Vishaya Vinivartante Niraharasa Dehina Rasavarjam Rasopyasya Param Drishva Nivartate. This very standard verse from the Bhagavad Gita also has the word rasa in it. We're trying to get some flavor out of the material world by listening to music, by engaging in relationships. But the taste is compared to a person who's thirsty and coming out of the desert and begging for water. And then someone says, I'll give you water. Here's an eyedropper. You can have one drop only. In the material world, there's a semblance, a verisimilitude of happiness. But it's not actual happiness, it's just the semblance of happiness. The real reservoir of happiness is there where? In Krishna's relationships with his devotees in the spiritual world. And what's there? Everything that we want. The aesthetics that we're after, the beauty that our eyes want to see, it comes in the form of the arts, music, dancing, the relationship that everyone hankers to see, that and be involved with and to support between lover and beloved. So all that's there, and we can become attracted to it through the Srimad Bhagavatam, and as we're hearing, even through the philosophical discourses that take place amongst pure devotees. Prabhupada's equating it in the last purport to being engaged in the rasa dance. He said there's no difference between these discussions that are taking place. You could be sitting here on earth like we are now. Take a check where we are sitting here on earth, and we've created a little space, and we're discussing a philosophical discussion about the relationship we have with this world and with the spiritual world. And so Prabhupada's saying this is the transference point through which we actually connect to the aesthetics of the spiritual world, where we get parandrishva nivartate. We actually break through and we taste something better. And that's what takes us away from the material world, not any restraint. The restraint won't hold us, but the attraction to the spiritual world will. So we have to have that positive attraction. So having said that, just related to the last verse, I wanted to read you this verse and purport from the Srimad Bhagavatam. It's too nice. So if you don't like things that are too nice, cover your ears. Yeah. Uchai jagur nrityamana rakta kantyo rati priya Krishna bir marsha mudita yad kiten nedam avratam. Uchai means loudly. Jagu, they sang. Nrityamana, while dancing. Rakta, colored. Kantya, their throats. Rati, conjugal enjoyment. Priya, dedicated to. Krishna, abhimarsha, by the touch of Lord Krishna. Mudita, joyful, yet whose? Gitena, by the singing. Idam, this entire universe, avritam, is pervaded. Eager to enjoy conjugal love, their throats colored with various pigments, the gopis sang loudly and danced. They were overjoyed by Krishna's touch, and they sang songs that filled the entire universe. According to an authoritative book on music called Sangita Sara, Tavanta eva raga suryavatyo jivajataya teshu shodhasha sahasri puragopi kritvavara. There are as many musical ragas as there are species of life. Among these ragas are 16,000 principal ones, which were manifested by the gopis. Thus the gopis created 16,000 different ragas or musical modes, and these have subsequently been disseminated throughout the world. The words yad Gitanedham avritam also indicate that even today devotees throughout the world sing the praises of Krishna following the example of the gopis. Om Jnanatimidandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunviditam Nina Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasari Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. This verse from today gives us a foundational aspect of our development of pure devotional service. As is mentioned in the first canto, second chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam. And we'd like to call your attention to the Bhadra Purnima. Tachtradatana munayo jnana vairagya yuktaya pashyantyatmani chatmanam bhakta shruta grihitaya. That the foundation of developing this connection with the spiritual world is in Shastra. Tachtradatana munayo. One must also be thoughtful. Munayo. Tachtradatana munayo jnana vairagya yuktaya. And one must also be fortified with jnana, which means Kshetrajnam chapimam vidhi sarva kshetrishu bharata kshetrajnayo jnanam yatach jnanamatam. One must be aware that and alert to the fact that I'm not my body. I'm the resident within the body. And that the goings-on of the body are part of another world that I'm not part of. As the Vedas say, that asango kyayam purushaha. I have nothing to do with this world. And in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Naiva kinchit karomiti yukto manyita tatvavit pashyan shrinvan sprisan jigran ashnan kachyan supan swasan pralapan vishwinan grinan unmishan nimishan napi indriyan indriyarteshu vartanta iti dharayan. He describes how a person who has true knowledge is aware and that he's not his body and thinks, I have nothing to do with the ways in which I'm giving, receiving, my eyes are moving, blinking, I'm digesting, I'm going through, the body's going through various cycles, but I have actually nothing to do with it. I'm simply the witness within the body, situated in the state of shakshitva, or witnesshood. And this is true jnana, Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita. Kshetrajnam chapimam vidhi, to be aware that I'm in a kshetra, I'm in a field. And I know the difference between the field and myself, who I'm the knower of the field. And then ultimately, he says that we should know also that there's a knower in all fields. We should be aware of the fact that I only know this field, but there's a super soul, a super spirit, as Prabhupada calls in the second canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, that's aware of everyone's field in everybody. So tachtradatana, one has to be fortified, faithful. One's heart is invested in this because the word shraddha means, shrad means the heart, and da is an active verb. It means where you place something. So your heart's in it because you're fortified with knowledge and detachment, and also you're thoughtful. You don't shoot from the hip. You're considerate of your situation in the material world. You know, anyarevahor vidyaya, anyarahora vidyaya. There's a difference between transcendental knowledge and ignorance. And anyarevahor sambhavad, anyarahora sambhavad. Iti shushumdhiranam yenas tadvijachakshe. You know that everything that you do has a consequence. And even the smallest things plant a seed, and they lead to something. This is subtle knowledge that is required for those to enter into the spiritual worlds, because to extricate oneself from this world and become fully situated in the spiritual world, one has to have some foundation. Tachtradatana munayo jnana vairagya yuktaya pashyantyatmani chatmanam bhakta shruta grihitaya. And everything must be solidly connected to the Shastra, to the Shruti. You have to hear the Shruti, you have to understand especially the teachings of the Goswamis. Those who are Sahaja, they just take the teachings of the Srimad Bhagavatam to be sentimental, and they don't have a philosophical standing. However, through the Goswamis, Jiva Goswami gives the Tattva Sandarbha, the epistemology, why we accept what we accept, why the Puranas, why the Srimad Bhagavatam is part of the Vedas. It's actually the fruit of the Vedas. The Vedas are a tree, and the original 4 Vedas are like the trunk of the tree, whereas the fruit that comes out is the Srimad Bhagavatam. Nigama kalpataro galitam palam shukamukharam ritadrava samyutam. That's the part you can eat. You can't eat the bark on the tree. And so when one has this underpinning of sambandha gyan, clear knowledge about one's nature, one's relationship to God, to the world, and so forth, then we can start cultivating knowledge of the aesthetics of the spiritual world. Tashtradhatana munayo jnana vairagya yuktaya pashyantya manichatmanam bhakta shruta grihitaya. Such a person then becomes situated on solid ground to be able to understand the subtleties of the spiritual world. I think I just repeated myself. So today's verse tells us that Srila Vyasadeva is the medium. He's actually an incarnation of Vasudeva. And he gives us the Vedic literature in such a way that we can consume it. That's a Veda say. He's the editor or the compiler of the Vedas. He packages it together out of concern that we'll be able to understand it, and he also knows the level at which human beings will be able to understand it in various eras. And then he says that papu, it's drunk. You drink this with your ears. So this comes up in the discussion between Shukadeva Goswami and Maharaj Parikshit, because it's kind of an unusual situation, isn't it? He's got 7 days to live and he's just hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. That's all he's doing. So it's mentioned, Naisat ti dushaha shunman tyakto namapi padate pibantan twan mukhamboja chutam harikatamritam. Parikshit remarks, said, this is amazing that I'm not drinking water, I'm not eating, no time out, no sleeping either. Normally, when you don't eat or sleep or drink water, he said, you become thirsty. Even he's referring back to the fact that he was in the forest, and this is what got him into trouble in the first place. He got thirsty. And this is our thirst for the material world gets us into trouble. Because like, yeah, I want to taste something here. So Parikshit Maharaj was in the forest. He got thirsty. He went into the sage's hermitage, who didn't greet him. Don't you hate that? When people don't recognize how great you are? And then he became indignant and came out, grabbed a dead snake, wrapped it around his neck, road rage, and he went home in a huff. And then came the reaction that this sage didn't mind. He was self-realized. And Parikshit, this was uncharacteristic for him. He was a Raja Rishi. But Shringi, the little child of the sage, Shamika Rishi, became angry. And he uses Brahma Tejas to curse the sage. There's a whole science to cursing. There's a way that sound manifests actual events in the world. Just as a high court judge is sitting behind the bench with the robe on and the gavel, in court's in session. There are bailiffs there, everything. And at the right time, the judge says, lifetime in jail. Bang. That's it. It's done. Those words have then manifested, and the person's carried off, and they're like, what, wait, what? And it's done. The judge has said it. Now, good luck undoing it. So the same thing, effective speech was there with the brahmanas and the little child was invested with some of that power in that context and was able to utter a kind of childlike curse, childish curse, saying, snake bird will bite this man and he'll die 7 days hence. So this came about. And then, of course, Parikshit, being sincere, took it as a sign from Krishna. He said, let the snake bird or whatever magical creature this boy has conjured bite me at once. All I want is to continue hearing about the glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So there he was, dedicating the last 7 days of his life just to hearing Shukadev. So he says, Tyakto dhammapi padyati pibantam tvam mukham bhujam chutam harikatamritam. He says, I'm not thirsty, and I'm not tired, and I'm not hungry, which is amazing. But why? Chutam harikatamritam. Chuta means falling. So chutam harikata. Harikata is falling from the mouth of Shukadev, and he's drinking it. Just like it says in this. It's a beverage, you drink it. I have a godbrother who, when he says Krishna Kata, he says it in such a way, it sounds like a drink. I'm like, yeah, could I have one of those? And this is what nourishes the soul. This is what actually brings us to real health. That's why the Srimad Bhagavatam is described, Nivritratarsha upagiyamana bhavaushadach chotra manobhiraman. That it's a bhava ashaudi. It's kind of elixir, a medicine, and you drink it. And you drink it through your ears, and then it's like the medicine, it goes through your ears, and then it enters into your heart. And then as described by Kapila Dev, he says, Sangam prasangam mama virya sambido bhavanti hrit karna rasayana kata tajjosha nadashu apavargavartmini shradaratir bhaktir nukramishruti. There's a process that takes place. You can be here on earth and listening in the assembly of devotees and the proper context and the speech that has been specifically compiled by Srila Vyasadeva, the fruit of all the Vedas. And then it comes to us, and he says, in that association of devotees, that's what you're going to hear. Satam. Satam means those who are dedicated to the truth. Satam prasangam mama virya sambido. This is the kind of association where you're going to find change in your life, positive change. Nowhere else. Everywhere else, you'll be more implicated. But satam prasangam mama virya sambido, what do you get there? The beautiful sounds. It's the sound vibration of the spiritual world. Bhavanti hrit karna rasayana kata. Rasayana, again, is a kind of, it means medicine, a curative. And so you get that sound vibration, it comes into your ear, touch Joshan adashu apavargamartmani. Again, the word ashu, which means very quickly it takes effect, and like intravenously. If you're going in an operation and they say, are you ready? Okay, I guess so. Count down, 3, 2, and very quickly it acts, this medicine. And what does it do? It changes the direction we're going. Because I said before, Shraddha means that where we're putting our heart. The heart is the chariot, and our body is the chariot, and the heart is the driver. So the way our heart is predisposed, that's the way we're going to go in life. So it changes our heart, changes our direction, and instead of pavarga, which means pa 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 ma, pa means, and cover your ears if you don't want to hear any harsh news, pa means you got to work so hard in this world that pa, foam comes from your mouth. How's your day at work, dear? Pa pa ba means that that even though you're working so hard, it still ends in disappointment. And ba means you're afraid while you're doing that. You're gonna, even though you're getting a little something, somebody's throwing you a little, crumb here or there, you're still worried, am I going to lose it or not? And then ma means, okay, no matter what happens, it's all wiped out by death. I know this is a family show. Sorry for the digression. Pa 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 ma ma. But guess what? There's a reversal for all that. And it's in one little letter. Ah. You put the ah in the beginning and it just changes it. I love that. It's like I hate what I'm doing. Okay, let's change it. Here's an A. Put it on the front. I'd like to buy a vowel, please. You know, give me the A. You put the A on the front, and it's Apavarga. And you're not going to hell anymore. You're not working hard anymore. You get to go back to Godhead. Yay! So Apavarga, and it says this is how you do it. You lend yourself to drinking the nectarian sounds that are coming from the spiritual world in the association of devotee. Apavarga varmani shraddha ratir bhaktir anukramishati means step by step you'll notice that you're making advancement. And it goes shraddha, rati, and bhakti. The general categories that your faith grows, that in the beginning is like, this is kind of nice. I really like it. I'm glad other people are doing it. I can't do it, but I like that they're doing it. There's an appreciation. And then rati means like, I kind of like to be in on that. You know, I think I'll cancel a few things so I can make it. And then bhakti means like, you actually like, I'm one of the, you know, people. I'm in this. You actually become part of the spiritual family here on earth and then in the spiritual world. It's seamless. Just like Krishna transferred everyone from Mathura to Dwarka in their sleep. You know, Krishna he saw Jarasandha 18th time, and then you had this Kalayavana character coming in, millions of people forming. Krishna didn't want them all spilling into Vrindavan. He was actually trying to protect the residents of Vrindavan the whole time. And then he transferred everybody at night to Dwarka. So everyone was sleeping in Mathura, and then they woke up in Dwarka in a golden palace in the middle of the ocean. So if he can do that, he can transfer us from sitting here on earth, find a little plot on earth, it's a little transfer station, and you hear the Bhagavatam, and then, you know, Krishna will transfer you to the spiritual world. So Parikshit Maharaj says, Vasudeva Kata Prashna Purusham Strin Punatihi Vaktaram Prachakam Shrotrims Tatpada Salilam Yata. He said, how many people, who are the people that get benefited from hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam? 3 people, or 3 categories of people. 1, the person who's speaking it. As speakers, you know, just like bomb makers, they always get blown up somehow. Like, what happened to him? He was making bombs in his apartment. Whole place got blown up. When you're dealing with Bhagavatam, it's got to rub off. It's funny, in the Denver airport, they used to have dogs that would sniff out bombs because people were making threats in the airport. It was a high alert. And we had these lockers. We used to lock our books in there so we could go get more. We had it in O'Hare too. And the glue that Daini Pond used in the books smelled just like the glue. And so the dogs would always come, and and the cops would come, make an announcement, come open, or they'd break open the locker, and there was the Bhagavatams happen over and over again. And we were thinking, yep, these are the real thing, real bombs. So the speaker who's distributing it, you know, it gets affected and is able to make advancement by speaking about Bhagavatam, then the listener, and then he says, everybody else in between. It spills out, it touches other people, and they hear it, and they also become affected by it. So the sounds of the spiritual world, the aesthetics of the spiritual world, it's in music, it's in the arts. And therefore, in this world, we actually look for happiness through music. We look for happiness through art and fine philosophy. If, you know, people don't want to just have a vocation and some boring thing in their life. Classical education was all about the arts and literature and so forth. This was considered to be civilized. We don't have civilization anymore, so forget about that. But Narada mentions this, idam hi pumsam tapasashutasya va swistasya suktasya tabuddhi datayo avichuto here kavibir nirupito ya uttama shloka gunar nivarnanam, my apologies. Idam hi pumsam tapasashutasya va suktasya, it's not going to happen. So this verse says that every aspect of human society where there's some endeavor for the fine arts, it should just connect it to Krishna, to Uttama Shloka. then it becomes the source of your liberation. So he's actually telling this to Vyasadeva, who compiled all these literatures pre-Srimad Bhagavatam. And they had a lot of philosophy in them, but they didn't go far enough. They didn't touch this fine point of the aesthetics of the spiritual world that would attract the heart, just as they do in this world. Those in the mode of goodness, they live in that aesthetic of music and art and poetry. And so he said, you have to connect it to Krishna, all these things. And then you have something that will actually change the heart of the living entity, so that he'll be so inextricably attached to that he'll be able to drop the mundane aspects of attraction in the material world. That was an awkward sentence, but you get what I mean. So this is the power of the Srimad Bhagavatam, to transform our hearts and our attraction back to the spiritual world. Om Tat Sat. And now we'll take a few reflections to try to get some nuance into this conversation. Prabhu. So we need a microphone, and minus a microphone, if you pass this over, at least it'll get recorded there. That's the receiver. Can we also have a microphone? Okay. 7 seconds or less, or your money back from this class.
So what you said really resonated with me, because I studied Indian classical music for more than 15 years. And at a later stage of studying, after you sort of learned the basics and so on, I was always like, okay, to what end? Where are we going with this? What are we going to do? And all my gurus, the classical music gurus, was, boy, this is it. This is it. You know, this is Nada Brahma. This is the highest possible supreme absolute truth. And it didn't resonate with me at all. And I actually gave it up for a long time, like more than 10 years, until I came into the Association of Devotees. And then Kevala Bhakti Prabhu and Vrindavan Vinodini and all these other devotees actually dragged me practically back into the musical field through Kirtan. And then again, it fell off. And then, but I never quite understood why it was that music became so interesting in Kirtan specifically. Like, what's the difference? What? I understood it theoretically, but I think what you said today connected that, which is that the arts actually came from Krishna. So unless they were actually used for the service of Krishna, they have no taste. I mean, it gets hackneyed and boring, no matter how skillful. I used to go to these concerts where people, where a singer or a musician would play for 6 hours, one rag, you know, and they would play for the whole night. They would sing for the whole night. And it was great in the beginning, but then it was like, what else? And, but what you said really resonated. So thank you very much, Prabhu.
Yeah, thanks for the practical expression. I don't want it back. Does somebody else want to say something? A reflection or a question? Yes, Prabhu.
I like the point where you say, drink the nectar through the years. Whenever I hear like Bhagavatam, you know, I feel like content, satisfied. You know, so that's something I reflect.
Yeah, can drink through our ears. It's a really important concept, because one may wonder, how is it that what is the point of contact at which I actually make advancement in devotional service? Association really means that we're hearing in the association of advanced devotees. Advanced means are interested in Krishna, are interested in discussing the philosophy and so forth. In the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, do we have an Adi Leela? Actually, somebody just look it up. It's in the Adi Leela, and it's the verse that's quoted there by Kaviraj Goswami. Tesham Satata Yuktanam. Bhagavad Gita 10:10 is quoted in the Adi Leela. You got it already? Chapter 1. Chapter 1 Adi Leela. And then you go to the verse where he quotes tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam. And there, of course, Srila Prabhupada says something that's parallel to the purport here, and I'll read the parallel statement. He says that the pure devotees of the Lord, however, can equally relish the nectar in the form of the profound philosophical discourses and in the form of kissing by the Lord in the rasa dance. That's a pretty shocking statement. Like profound philosophical discourses compared to, if I may be so bold to even say it, kissing in the rasa lila. So I'm just trying to make a point that there's a point of entry into that. It's not, we can't prematurely enter into the idea of rasa or being attracted to the rasa dance, but there is a point of entry, and it's mentioned here. So if somebody could read that aloud, please. Yeah, go ahead, please. You got to hold the mic, almost touching.
This verse of the Bhagavad Gita 10:10 clearly states how Govinda Deva instructs his bona fide devotee. The Lord declares that by enlightenment and theistic knowledge he averts attachments for him to those who constantly engage in his transcendental loving service. This awakening of divine consciousness enthralls a devotee who thus relishes his eternal transcendental mellow.
Hold on. This awakening of divine consciousness enthralls a devotee. Somebody look up enthrall. I want to see the etymology and the meaning of it, and to be enthralled. When's the last time you felt enthralled? Let's see what it means. It means captured? Captured the fascinated attention of. This is where advancement takes place in devotional service, when our attention is fastened to, there. Did you look it up? Look it up in Etymoline online, Etymological Dictionary. There's a website. There it is. Enthrall. Also enthrall, to hold in mental or moral bondage. Yeah. So we're held in bondage here in the material world by the modes of material nature. We're fascinated by the combinations and permutations. Muhyanti yat sureha. Even the suras, the demigods, they're captured by it. They're bound to it. They can't give it up. So to be enthralled by hearing the discourses about Srimad Bhagavatam, then our mind becomes bound there. There is no freedom for the soul, because we're either attached to the material world or we're attached to the spiritual world. We're either entangled in the material world or we're entangled in the spiritual world. There's no point of just freedom for the soul. It's tatasta. It'll get caught one place or another. That's why yene ravindaksha vimuktamaninas tvayasta bhava devashudha buddhaya aruya krishnena paramharam tata patantyato nadrita yushmanangraya. Shukadev says, you can't maintain status quo anywhere outside of entanglement in the spiritual world. Entanglement in the beauty of Krishna is basically what he's saying, and the beauty of the spiritual world. Otherwise, you're gonna have to go to some 6-hour long boring concert with just raga, same guy doing the same thing, who goes home and drinks a pot of tea and then comes back the next day. Huh? Worse, he has a little little hooch. Okay, so yeah, from enthrall, and where does it come from? Thrall. It's a noun. Literal sense is rare in English, related enthralled, enthralling. En means in, from Proto-Indo-European, and Latin. Further down. Thrall. There's a thrall, Old English. Bondman, or a serf, or a slave. Don't you love this? Enthralled. You're a slave to it. Like people are slave to television. They're like, I got to watch the TV. And if you say, like, I'm going to take away your TV, they're like, wait a minute, let's talk about this first, you know, like, where are you going with that? I need that. So it's a bondage. It's a serfhood that we have to the material world, to the modes of nature. Everyone's just staring at it, and it's like, come on, come with me. It's like, no, I'm not going. I'm going to stay here. I like this. So we have to become as equally bound to the Srimad Bhagavatam. We have to become enthralled by it. We have to become serfs, slaves. Sorry, I'm a slave to the Bhagavatam. I can't go. Okay, so let's go back to the verse. This awakening of divine consciousness enthralls a devotee who then thus relishes its eternal transcendental mellow. We have an eternal transcendental mellow. That has to be awakened by hearing Srimad Bhagavatam sufficiently. We have to drink it with our ears. And that means we have to have a lifestyle through which we can actually hear the Srimad Bhagavatam with clarity. That this is mentioned by Prabhupada at the end of the 3rd chapter of the 1st canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. He says your lifestyle has to be clean so you can sit and listen. You take drugs, you take, you're worried about whether you're going to win the lotto or not. You're worried about, who cares how you look, your new style, and your relationships. You're all entangled in these things. And any of these contaminations we touch in the material world, we can't relish the transcendental mellow, and we can't hear properly. Prabhu, you want to finish? Such an awakening.
Such an awakening is awarded only to those convinced by devotional service about the transcendental nature of the personality of Godhead. They know that the Supreme Truth, the all-spiritual and all-powerful person, is one without a second and has fully transcendental senses. He is the fountainhead of all emanations. Such pure devotees always merge in knowledge of Krishna and observe in Krishna consciousness. Observed in Krishna consciousness, exchange thoughts and realizations as great scientists exchange their views and discuss the results of their research in scientific...
I'm going to read that one more time. Okay. Such pure devotees always merged in knowledge of Krishna, thank you, Prabhu, and absorbed in Krishna consciousness, exchange thoughts and realizations as great scientists exchange their views and discuss the results of their research in scientific academies. You can see, it's a big chair. They got a tweed jacket, a little patch on the shoulder, maybe a pipe or something, and it's like, they're discussing back and forth. According to Schopenhauer, the theory of whatever. So back and forth, they become actually, and Radhika Prabhu, I mentioned this the other day. He told us in the academy, they're slaves to their ideas. They'll give up everything, including, they're not interested in breaking the 4 regular principles. They're attached to their ideas. That's their main thing in life. They're attached to it. So that kind of transference means we become that absorbed in the ideas of the Srimad Bhagavatam and the discussions of them. That's what starts the movement to the spiritual world. Such exchange of thoughts in regard to Krishna give pleasure to the Lord, who therefore favors such devotees with all enlightenment. And that's the Vidhunoti principle. Shrinvatam swakata Krishna punya shravana kirtana tridyantakstohi badrani vidhunoti suritsatam. Krishna is there within the heart. And he knows our intention. And if we intentionally sit and listen to Srimad Bhagavatam, then he's so kind, he's so friendly, that he then knows, okay, this is what this devotee wants. I'm going to help clean their heart. I'm taking out these unwanted things from the heart of the devotee so that he or she can just be fully dedicated to devotional service. Isn't that nice? So we have this opportunity, and also to give it to other people as well. There is no other solution. There is no other medicine in the material world. It's all suffering, and it's all downhill from wherever people are right now. And when all else fails, and it will, take shelter of Srimad Bhagavatam. And then you have something that's actually substantial. And you can set up a little transfer station in your house. and we'll say these mantras, and we're going to move from here on this planet all the way up to the topmost planet in the spiritual world. Just sit here and listen, and let's discuss, and the magic will happen by the power of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, everybody. We'll continue tomorrow, right, Nirkula, or are we leaving early? Krishna willing, we'll take it up where we left off today, tomorrow. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki jai, Gaur Premanande. Nitai Gaura Haribo, 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 Nitai Gaura Haribo, Nitai Gaura Haribo, 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 Nitai Gaura Haribo. Vanjakopdrvisha Kripasnaveva Patitanam Pavanibhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah.
Hare Krishna. It's a jam-packed day. Next we'll have first grain ceremony and Vidyaram ceremony, so the setup is there. We'll go there. And after that we have Sankirtan festival today. Downtown we're expecting a big group. That's why we're requesting devotees to RSVP so that we can assign you to appropriate locations. We have multiple locations and we want to make sure it's proportionately allocated so that we can do a good job at meeting people. So far we have many names and we have already assigned. So these papers will be put in different notice boards. If you don't see your name and you wish to come, please let us know. We'll add it to a particular team. Just don't show up at any location because that will disturb the allocation. So we should be there for 11 o'clock. So the goal is to leave from the temple 11:15. So the rides are being arranged. The books are already packed. We have 3 locations downtown, but please do RSVP, just let us know so we can assign you to a particular location. Hare Krishna. We have a form, or now we are here. And thank you for helping restore the temple room so that the guests throughout the day have a pleasant experience.